This is my last 30 minutes being 20. My last 30 minutes before I really plunge into my 20s, you know. When you just turn 20, it's the first year that you got that 2 in your age, you know. You're just coming out of your teens. You still kind of feel like a teen, you know. You're not like, you don't identify with the 20s, but now I'm 21 and it's like, "Oh shit. You're in the 20s, man. I'm in my 20s." And what they say a lot about your 20s is figuring it out, and that's what I've been doing, man. I mean, for me it started at 18, 19, 20, not going to college, just been thrown into the game that is life. It's just been figuring it out, and I feel like I'm really starting to figure it out. You know, not to say that I'm figuring out this game of life, but I'm starting to figure out some things that I really need to. You know, I'm starting to identify what's important to me. I'm starting to identify the type of things I want to do in my life, the type of people I want to be around, you know, just what's important. And those, you know, that's what your 20s is about. That's what they tell you to do. That's why, you know, people go to college, people go and travel, people are experiencing, because you need to test yourself. You need to see certain things about yourself. And you know, your 20s are fucking scary, man. Your 20s are scary because it's like, you know, your 20s are the years that you really build your life. You know, your teens, you're in high school, you're doing whatever, you're bullshitting, you got friends all around you, you know, you got sports, you got things occupying you. You're not thinking about the minute little details of life. And your 20s is when those realities start smacking you in the face, especially your early 20s. And it's fucking scary, man. It's scary. It's anxiety riddling. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're gonna roll with it. But I'm excited for my 20s, man. You know, I was saying, like, your toes are dipped in when you're 20, but then you hit that 21, you're like, all right, we're in this shit now. And you know, if I could just recommend anything to anybody who's maybe turning 20 soon or in their 20s, like, the biggest thing I'm realizing is just it's all up here. Now, I know that's so cliche. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's all in your head and whatnot," but it literally is. And I'm not going to get too deep into things. I'm going to keep this video pretty surface level, but it's like, if I recommend anybody that's just young and trying to navigate their life and this world, it's like, you got to understand yourself. You got to understand your brain. You got to understand how your brain works, what your brain doesn't like, what your brain does like, you know, what your brain is capable of, because your mind and your brain are fucking powerful, man. Let me tell you that, you know. Um, like, fuck. You know, 21's an interesting one because you can drink in the States. 21's a pretty big one. I have no plans to drink tomorrow. I'm not going to. So, you know, I feel like when you turn 21, it's usually alcohol-filled thoughts and whatnot. You're just thinking about how plastered you're gonna get. You're thinking about how good of a time you're gonna have, but you're never even gonna really remember that time, which is kind of a funny topic. But anyway, I'm just like thinking about this difference between being 20 to 21, just how, like, really, like, 21 is the kind of entry into the 20s. 20 doesn't really count because 20 you're kind of just like, whatever. Like, 20 is a weird middle ground where, you know, you're 18. When you turn 18, you're legal, but like 19 and 20, you kind of have all the same quote unquote rights, or like kind of the same place in the world. You know, you're still kind of not looked at as an adult and whatnot. And then 21, weirdly, because of the fact that you can start to drink poison, people start to look at you as older and more mature for whatever reason. So like 21, you know, is like definitely a more grown up has a type of vibe to it. You know, it carries more presence. And I'm fucking excited for my 21st, man. I'm fucking excited to be 21. I'm really, you know, you can get caught up in seeing all these 18, 19, 20-year-old millionaires, 21-year-old millionaires. And I think it's important to remember, if you're just turning 21 or whatever, if you're turning 22, 23, 24, 25, and you're still figuring it out, that's all right. Because that's what our 20s are supposed to be about, man. That's what the fuck we're supposed to do in these 20s. We're supposed to be figuring it out. We're supposed to be failing. We're supposed to be trying shit. And, like, be excited to be excited to struggle. Be fucking excited to struggle. And I think, like, for me, what I think this year is going to be about, it's not going to, it's going to be a lot of success. Or, I don't know, it might be success or whatnot. I got to watch because your words are more powerful than you think. But, like, I'm finally in a place where I know what I want to struggle about, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm finally in a place where I know I want to post YouTube videos and just be in the grind. Just like maybe post one, it gets 100 views and be like, all right, on to the next one. Or just like editing in my room for hours on hours on hours, and maybe that one doesn't hit. It's like, all right, we good. We just got to keep going to the next one. Like, I finally figured out what I want to be in the grind of for life. And I feel like it's not a question to a lot of people, especially 20-year-olds, like the fact that they want to be ambitious and want to try shit and whatnot. And like the fact that they're like not like scared of that struggle. They just don't know what the fuck they want to struggle with. So I would say if you're 20 and you like maybe your mindset isn't the best or whatever, like just find something that you want to suck at, because it's a very low level entry kind of place you can enter any realm, really. It's like, I just want to find out something that I can suck at, because if you suck at something enough, if you suck at something long enough, eventually you'll get okay. And then if you're okay at something long enough, eventually you'll get kind of good. And then if you're kind of good at something for long enough, you'll get great at it. And why not fucking start when you're 20? Like, start now. Like, start sucking at it now, because it's going to take a while anyway. If there's anything I got to say to anybody that's 20, anything that I could take from my life, like the number one thing, actually, I would say is fucking you just got to start that shit. You just got to start that shit. Like, you're going to be failing and trying to figure out everything in your life anyways. And, like, everything's just going to be low-key kind of a clusterfuck. So just, like, start struggling and start sucking at something now. Kind of just went on a tangent there, Wrap it up, or what I'm getting at here. This is a Ohio. This is not alcohol, by the way. Just today's my last day being a freshly minted 20-year-old. I'm about to really dip my toes into the 20-year-old, into the being a 20-year-old region, whatever the fuck that is. And I'm excited. I finally know what I want to struggle at. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting. I've figured out that I need to figure it out. Like, that's what your 20s are. They're about figuring it out. And just to anybody out there that's maybe scared to turn 20, or you feel like you're wasting your 20s, find your shit to struggle on. All right. Let's fucking get it this year. Let's get it, CK.